really quick?
Of course.
Sorry.
So if it says start broadcast and that it's on air, is that the same as recording, right?
I don't know.
I've never.
Well, I have a little live.
More than anything.
Well, it says it's live, so I'm guessing.
Right, and then it records, and then I go back on and get the link.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It should be fine. It should be
I
fine.
think
Okay, everybody, introduce yourself to Carrie.
Hi, I'm Jeff. That's it. I'm from Houston.
Michael from Arizona.
Nice. Nice weather.
Austin, Rexburg.
Right on.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm also in Rexburg. So.
Eunice, where are you from?
Like where I'm from, or
Oh yeah.
well, because I was born and raised in the Philippines, and then my family moved to Los Angeles. But again, they moved this summer to Nevada, Henderson, Nevada.
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
Okay.
I've been
I'm
all
originally
over.
from Florida, so.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry I was late.
No worries. No worries. Okay, we're supposed to start with a prayer, and then let's do and done the sign up for the group sign up, being the leader.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll share my screen, and I'll just do it real fast. Is that a good idea?
Holy crap! What happened?
Can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just do it for you guys. When do you want to sign up? Who wants to be the third week?
I'll do the fourth week.
Okay, who said that? I can't see you now.
Jeff. Jeff says four.
Jeff? Okay.
Isn't that next week?
No.
Oh, sorry. You mean right here. Sorry. Okay.
I want to do.
And then
Yeah. Okay. That's
okay,
fine.
and then who wants to do in 2 weeks?
I can do it. Eunice.
And then the week after that,
Can do week 7.
Michael. And then that leaves Austin. We're assigning you right here.
Which one
And
is
then
it?
I'll start again.
8.
You're going to be lesson 8, Austin.
Okay, that's tentatively because I don't post schedules out that far, so I'll let you guys know.
It's tentatively what?
I'll let you know tentatively because Walmart hasn't. I work at Walmart. They haven't posted my schedule out that far. So if something comes up, I will get in touch.
Oh, totally. We've got our text chain going. We can switch that, no problem.
Yeah, one time I woke up to like 14 messages.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, then who wants to be, I mean, some of us are going to have to go twice. So I'll go again, and then Carrie's already signed up on here. So should we start back with Jeff?
I guess that's me.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. And then
me. Lesson 12.
Oh, hey, what happened here?
So lesson 10. Okay.
Lesson.
Okay, and then Carrie will be 11, and then 12, there's no meeting, and then Eunice here. And then who was after you? Michael. Look at that. Look at that, Austin. You only have to go one time.
That's amazing.
Okay, let me close that down. Okay, there you go. Now you guys don't have to do it. I'll stop sharing my screen so you don't have to see like 50 little screens.
I kind of love that. Takes me away from the pain. Yeah.
You're funny, Jeff. Okay, there was like, when it's your turn to be the discussion leader, there's like a printout that you can do of questions that you can pick and choose. It doesn't look like we have to turn in any kind of like write-up. I know in a lot of these other classes that I've done with the case studies, you have to do like a group write-up. We don't have to do that. So we just have to basically chit-chat about the questions. So I don't know if you guys want me to just throw one question out there and then everybody kind of answers, or if we each just take one question. What do you think?
Oh, let's just all do it.
Okay. Question number 1. What is the main issue here?
I think the main issue is the fact that that Simon is, you know, he was recently promoted, and so I think he's trying to make a difference. And by making a difference, he's forgetting about the culture of the company, and he doesn't really know how to handle his own people or other people that he works with, like the guy who's doing the production. And so I think some of the issue is him trying to, you know, show that he's worthy of the promotion. I think some of the issue is Mary not standing up to him when he first did something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, she should have jumped in and corrected him, not on the spot, but at least within that day. And so I just think that, you know, there's a lot of, you know, trying to jockey for position.
Yeah. In my essay, I wrote a lot about management styles and just how he has like a very coercive management style. And what we learned last week in our reading was that you need kind of a mixture of management styles. So I kind of just like wrote about that sort of stuff, that the main issue was his management style and that it didn't click there with the culture at Derby Foods. I threw in a lot about the culture too, because she had that whole PowerPoint slide about the culture. So I figured that's what she wanted.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else majorly different than that?
It was just to add that I think also Simon is not really self-aware of the negative effects that he had on like his coworkers and on his team, because I feel like he got caught up so much on the projects that he set up super high standards for himself and for the team that he kind of forgot, you know, like morals and kind of thinking about being a leader and thinking about other people's feelings and, you know, all that stuff. And so I think he just mainly forgot about that, and he set too much high of a standard that he kind of forgot how to be a proper leader, I think. So
I actually think he has a great management style if he was a sales manager.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because a lot of my sales managers are like that too. But he's in a whole different type of leadership role now. So
yeah.
Or if he was in the army.
Yeah.
A drill sergeant. Great job, team. Okay, why is I don't like the next question. What are the specific behaviors that raise concern? Like I'm kind of skipping around. What were the specific behaviors that raised concern?
Well, he shouldn't have called out his employee during a presentation and then went the extra mile to like rub the dirt in his face, you know, to say, well, this could have been a career changing decision. Like he's a little overzealous in the way he's communicating with his people.
The wording, I have the answers here. The public reprimand. The fact that he like didn't take responsibility for it. Like I have a boss who's always like, if he corrects something, he always says, I should have showed you that, or I should have been more specific. And I like the fact that my boss will like take part of the responsibility for an error when it comes up. And I definitely noticed with York, it was not his fault. It was everybody else's fault around him, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The finger pointing.
okay.
Any other comments?
No, the only thing I would say is you should have practiced a more approach of correct in secret and praise in what is it?
Public.
Praise in public, correct in secret.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's awesome.
That would have been a good thing to put in my paper.
That was one of the things that when I worked at Ross as a manager, that was one of the big things that my manager always instilled in me, was making sure to do it in private if I needed to correct them or coach them on something.
Yeah,
that's what I wish my managers at Walmart would practice, but they don't get it.
Oh, too funny. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the culture at Derby Foods. What do you believe is the culture at Derby Foods?
Well, they seem pretty open with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
I also think they allow people to expand and do, kind of what I'm getting at is it mentioned in the write-up in the beginning that Simon worked for the previous manager, and the manager allowed Simon to kind of spread his wings and find ways to touch this brand that was, needing some refreshing, that was 150 years old. But he allowed him to do that and didn't really squash anything, didn't negatively.
Open style.
Yeah.
Open to creative ideas and approaches. It says new idea and approaches, I guess.
Yep.
Good. What do you think are the beliefs? No, I don't like that question either.
I don't like any of these questions.
It said, what do you think are the beliefs that support this culture?
Oh.
We've kind of already talked about that. What would you recommend to maintain, change, or build on the existing culture at Derby Foods? I really don't feel like the case study talked that much about the culture.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
So when I was writing my paper, I was like, I'm assuming it's a good place if people are, all shook up that these behaviors are happening. If, it's got to be a great place to work if they're not used to those sort of things. But besides that, it really didn't talk much about the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make a lot of assumptions, but.
I mean, they've been in business for 150 years, so, I guess they're established. I don't know.
That's true. That's a good point.
I guess. I mean, I couldn't even say, honestly, because I've been in business for a lot of years, from real estate and now financial advising. And if I were to be given a client like this, I wouldn't even know how to begin, because there's not enough information. I mean, I guess it's good that they're bringing a whole new generation of customers, a new generation of employees. So progressive, I guess, is the word you could use.
That's a good word too.
They're open, but I don't know. You're right. There's not enough information.
Yeah, like when I hear culture, I think of like, what's their mission? What's their purpose? What's their management styles? And I don't really feel like we learned that much. Or like, how do you involve employees? Well, I did put in my case essay write-up that they had a weekly meeting, so obviously they work well together as a team. But once again, that was purely assumption. It really didn't.
Yeah, it could have been once. Like,
yeah.
They could have had once a quarter.
Yeah. So everything I wrote about the culture was like a pure assumption from like a little tiny hint in the paper. So I don't really know why this case study was a culture write-up.
Yeah.
But the next question maybe will help us. What is Mary's role in establishing the culture?
It comes from the top down.
Yeah, she's trying to maintain it by providing the feedback.
I hate to bring missions into this, but at least when I was serving my mission, the whole culture of the mission, the zone, the district is all based on our zone leaders and our district leaders. If they had a culture of hard work and obedience, the missionaries followed suit of being hardworking, obedient missionaries. So I can't remember who said it, but someone said it from the top down. You're only as good as your leaders, is my belief.
Yeah, she sets the tone here at this company for sure. It appears that way.
Yeah. Good points, guys. I didn't think of any of those.
I thought of that in my write-up, and I said that that the first thing that needed to be done was she needed to attend some training on how to, manage people that are difficult to manage. That maybe she hasn't done that before, and so she didn't know to call Simon out when he berated his employees. So I said, I went out and found classes for her to take on the internet. So I'm sending her to Harvard Business School.
Yeah, we have a PowerPoint for it, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. What is Mary doing against the company culture?
Against?
Yeah. Like, how is she? What has she done so far to work against
Well,
the company?
she ignored an incident. You know.
Yep.
That's one thing.
Yep.
Two, actually.
Too.
Because
Yeah.
when the guy came in, and I forget his name, but when the guy came marching into her office and said that Simon was out of line, she should have called Simon up right then and closed her door with the three of them and had a conversation.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
She also sighed and slightly cringed. They made a point to say that she was like cringing at the, you know, her job. So I don't want to do this today. Well,
That's
you want to
awesome.
get paid, don't you? Yeah, I mean, what do you mean?
Okay. What's Simon? How is Simon? Like we just talked about how Mary is supporting the culture and how she's working against the culture. So how is Simon supporting the culture?
I think he's supporting the culture because, I mean, this is just me reading into it just from words, but it's because he wants to create the best available product that you can to keep them relevant in the game, because in a business world, everything has to be changing, everything has to be innovated, everything has to be better than the competitor. I think he's striving to complete that or get that accomplished.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job. They don't want to lose him.
He seems to be working hard. Yeah.
And he's starting to bring partners into the picture. You know, that was one of the things that I noticed was he was upset because, you know, he went out and he got the World X Games or whatever it was called to co-brand on the cupcakes, and he didn't like how their logo was placed. So that says a lot about him as far as caring about the partnership that he has with them and wanting to make sure that it remained solid.
Good. I like that. The next question is, how is he working against the culture? But basically, we've already talked about that. He just had some bad management style and inconsistent behavior.
Yeah. He might be a jerk. We're not sure.
He needs to move to sales management.
Yeah. Yeah. He'd be good.
He's going to be a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I was on a forecast call this morning. You can tell. he needs to move to sales.
Be good for that.
Yeah, he would. Okay, what did you recommend in your write-up? Like, what's one thing that you recommended? Carrie, you said you recommended that he take an online workshop.
No, not online, face-to-face. Harvard Business School. Couple of them. I had him signed up for 3. One was an American, it was put on by American Foundation Business or something, and it was a class on the being empathetic, whatever that's called, social, you know. So I had that class. I had a leadership class. I had a class for Mary. I did all kinds of classes for him.
That's a good idea. Did you have any other recommendations that you want to share?
For me?
Yeah, like what other recommendations did you put in your paper? And we'll just go down the line.
So another one I put in was that Mary should set up a cadence where she's meeting face-to-face with Simon so that they can talk about his progress and how, you know, if he's changing and if he's learning the things he needs to learn and stuff like that.
What was that word you just used? A cadence?
Cadence.
I've never heard that word before.
Okay, Lindsay, that's 2 in a week I've given you.
Teach
I told
me
her I
what
had
does
a fire
cadence
drill
mean?
yesterday, and she didn't know what a fire drill was.
Where you set things on fire, right?
Yeah.
No, I know what a fire drill is. I didn't know what she meant by she was at work and she was dealing with a fire drill like situation. I'd never heard that before.
She's like, how do you have a fire drill when you work from a home office?
Cadence is like a rhythm. They use it a lot in music, but you could have like a rhythm of conversation or you know, how you want it to.
How many times you have it? Like every week? Is it every week? Is it every 2 weeks? Is it every month?
It's like a rhythm.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a suggestion for her.
Yeah, what was yours?
My suggestion was that she needs to reschedule the meeting with the proper tone. Like she kind of had it says that the assistant scheduled it without sort of telling him what it's really about. So he's coming in thinking, oh, okay, this is going to be like a sales progress meeting instead of some sort of, light disciplinary council. So he probably needs to reschedule the meeting.
Oh, that's a good point, Jeff.
I didn't think of that either, but that's a good point. He needs to go.
You don't want to set the wrong tone because then he can prepare himself for it. Otherwise, you're sort of like sucker punching him. That's what he'll feel.
Mm-hmm. That's
Anyways,
a good.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So what would you say if you were going to call the assistant and schedule the appointment? What would you say?
I wrote that down, but it just depends on him. I mean, if it were me, I think I would say there's some inter-office personality thing we need to talk about, something like that. Some sort of interpersonality or interpersonal relation, something we need to talk about. The word's escaping me right now.
You could even say something as simple as there's some issues that I need to coach you about. And that lets him know, okay, I haven't done something right.
Yeah, something that sets the right tone at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you.
That's why she needs to go to the PowerPoint class. Then she'll know right away.
I used the PowerPoint slides a lot in my write-up. I talked about like the wording that she needed to use and how she needed to practice before she talked with him. I used a lot of the PowerPoint information in my write-up. What about you, Michael? What did you recommend?
Just being, I think, careful with how you say it. A lot of times when I worked at Ross, my manager that I worked with would always teach me to make sure that I'm careful with how I say it, just because you don't know if you're going to come across the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
And then having to apologize or upset them even more.
Oh, yeah, because you don't know where their head's at, You don't know what their perspective is, so you kind of have to do it in the most genial way, in a way.
Yeah. Austin, what about you?
The only thing I wrote that I think would be beneficial, I'm a firm believer that there's three sides to every story. There's theirs, and the truth. So I think they need to all get into a room, figure out what the actual problem is, and then I said go from there. If they do need to put him in a special type of management class, do that. If someone needs to be transferred out of the department, do that, because nothing's going to work unless everyone's in sync and like flowing together. So I wrote, find out what the actual problem is, then act accordingly.
The compliment sandwich. Yeah.
Yes.
Compliment.
I like that.
Correction, compliment. Yeah.
I think that what you're saying is good because it's actually like listening to what he has to say and giving him a chance to like defend himself and explain the situation.
Sure. Yeah.
And the PowerPoint slide talked a lot about that, like being a listener and listen to them and things like that. What about you, Eunice?
I was just gonna say that, with the meeting that Mary and Simon will have, Mary will obviously like listen to his side and kind of give him constructive criticism, but obviously like the PowerPoint said that like it doesn't have to be always negative, and you could set a tone for that. And so that's what I kind of wrote about, and how she can give constructive criticism to him, and like, but at the same time it's going to be more of coaching him in a way, since if he's really new in the, what is this called, like the position, like the leadership position in a way. And so Mary could be that coach for him and how he can adjust to his new position, because maybe he could just be overwhelmed about everything with the partnership and with the new promotion. He could be overwhelmed with everything, and so in that way, so in that way Mary could help him kind of manage everything and how to be a leader. And so that's what I kind of talked about.
I like that.
I like it. You guys all said what you recommended. I kind of had a mixture of all of those things. One thing that was like setting, Carrie, you kind of setting up goals with him and then doing follow-up with him. And as she sees him trying to do those things, or as he's reading the books that you recommend or taking the classes that you recommend, you give positive feedback so that it encourages him to continue. One other suggestion I put in my case study is he obviously likes to manage people and kind of micromanage them. So if he can take these instances where he lost his cool and his behavior and find ways to fix the processes that cause the problem, then it will keep it from being a problem in the future. Does that make sense? Like I suggested, I suggested like, he's a manager. This has happened twice and they're both like quality check issues. So if he has a quality check system put in place where before they run labels, he has to sign off on them, this will never happen again in the future.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Or if they're going into a team meeting and he is, you know, micromanaging his team members because of PowerPoint slides that they made, before he goes into the meeting, he needs to tell his staff, send me your PowerPoint slides and I will check over them before the meeting.
That would take 5 minutes he doesn't have, Lindsay. He's a man
but
of
it
action.
would keep him from getting fired because
exactly.
Obviously he's kind of controlling.
Yeah.
And
he's got a little bit of anger.
About how done. And prevent it in the future. Just something that I put in there.
That's good.
Kind of already answered that. Describe the principles of effective feedback. Help your group members notice the key concepts from this case by providing a summary of the discussion.
You know what I love about these questions, real quick? It says,
yeah.
It says connections. What the hell? What the hell is that supposed to be? Connections.
We're making connections. Jeff, are you looking at the questions and seeing?
Yeah. What does that even mean? It's so vague.
I'm skipping most of them because I feel like they're very like redundant.
They're saying they're redundant. They're just saying the same thing.
We appreciate you, Lindsay, for skipping questions.
Thank you.
So I feel like we've kind of talked this through enough, and along the way we've answered all of the questions. Unless somebody has something else they just are dying to share about the case study or their write-up that they did, then I'll do a very quick summary.
The only thing that I would add is I don't want us to think that Simon is all terrible, because I actually worked for a guy like Simon. And when I worked for him, I probably grew more and accomplished more in my career than I ever have before or after. And so sometimes when you work with people like that, that are really, you know, like they expect perfection. Like this guy got mad at me because we had an event in Chicago and the hotel served the dinner on white china. It didn't have a gold ring around it or whatever. And he's like, couldn't you have gotten better china? And I'm like, come on, you know, it's not the china, it's the food on the plate. But it made me stop and think about the details moving forward. And so, you know, there's a way that Simon can learn to be a perfectionist and expect perfectionism from his employees in a way that will make them grow and become better. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's what he needs to learn, is how to position that. And, you know, anyway, I just don't want us to think that he's really that terrible.
Yeah, I think a little bit of fine tuning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What were you gonna say?
I was just saying a little bit of fine tuning for the guy. I was agreeing.
Yeah. I risk sessions, so they need to be careful, is they don't want to lose him. He's bringing in big clients for the team. So, I mean, like, she needs to be kind and considerate and help him and encourage him to meet his goals so that he can find a place there, because he's proving himself in lots of ways, just
that's what I think.
Not in a kind way. Okay, well, I think I'll summarize in 2 sentences. I feel like what we were supposed to get from this was a reiteration of the leadership styles that we read last week. Like, it made me go back and look over those leadership styles and kind of think about where York fit in, think about where Mary Griffin fits in, kind of think about what kind of a leader I am. And then the other thing that I think we were supposed to take away from this was the whole feedback and coaching session PowerPoint slides, and how when we're dealing with people with positive and negative feedback, there's certain things that we should say and think about and practice before we do them. So that would be my brief synopsis of the meeting. And unless anybody has anything else to say, Carrie, I think you're next week.
Yep.
Okay.
You
Then
killed it, Lindsay. You killed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it helps that it was a short case study. I wonder if they're all going to be this short, or, you know,
They're not.
they're not going to be.
Longer.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for
right.
time, and you guys have been so great. It's nice to have the text chain because we can just text each other if we have any questions on any of the assignments too. So feel free to use it.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Whatever you need.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Right, thank you.
I'll post this on there. Bye.
Bye.
All right.